It was the middle of February in 2021 when we had a really severe cold and snowstorm here in central Texas. This storm would have been pretty routine for the type of thing that you would get up in the northern states. But here in Texas, we don't get this kind of severe cold. It got down to about 7 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's around minus 14 C. And the big problem was that the animals around here are not used to that kind of thing, not used to dealing with that, and not used to dealing with not having any water available. Because at that temperature, obviously, all the outdoor water is going to be frozen. And these guys, I think, had literally probably never seen snow like this. You can see it's only just a few inches of snow, but it's really cold. Well, one thing the animals around here know about us is that we always have liquid water available to them. It can be 110 degrees, it can be 7 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever. And they know that if they come here, that's a little water bowl right in the center of that image. And that fox just went over that water bowl. And they know that they're going to come here and they're going to be able to get a drink. So under any type of conditions. So consequently, I think we had maybe more visitors during this time than we would even usually see on a daily basis, because everybody was piling in here for the water. And I think they can hang on, for okay, and find food and nibble on things, and the deer eat the various greenery around and that sort of thing. But the water can be hard to come by. One thing we got to see about the deer is that they all look like they put on about 10 pounds of weight, in that they fluff up their fur and get kind of bristly looking. Here you may get a little bit of a look at it on that younger deer. And with their fur fluffed up, it makes them look considerably bulkier than usual. Likewise with the foxes. That fox is not actually fat at that time of year in mid-February, and instead it's just fluffed up fur. One really interesting thing that happened with the foxes during this time was that one of our known visitors who came around occasionally, that we now call broken ear, and you'll see why in just a moment. He got his broken ear during this snowstorm. He came into one of the underground dens, which is just inside a doorway that he's about to go in right there. Just in there, there's an underground den here, and you see a bloodied up, broken left ear. I say broken, there's no bones in there, but it remained forever in that floppy condition after that. So he got in some kind of fight. Don't know if it was territorial or what. We didn't see it happen. We just saw him come in and licking his wounds and feeling poorly. He had really kind of gotten beat up in some type of a fight. Could have been with coyotes. They will attack the foxes if they can. And here maybe things got a little bit crazy and the fox couldn't climb as well as usual, or that sort of thing, and actually got into a big tangle with a coyote, perhaps. Not sure on that. Another unusual thing that happened with the foxes here was, in just a moment you'll see two foxes as a pair coming through this same area, and one of them that will wander across the bottom of the screen has a big hunk out of, again, their left ear. And it's not the broken ear fox. It's a different one that we would see occasionally, enough to kind of recognize him or her when we saw them. And unfortunately, just a few days after this snow event, here the fox with the big notch out of the ear, that here it comes right there in the bottom, that one was killed in traffic. We live in a city environment here. We're on the outskirts of Austin, and literally our address, our front door practically, is on a 6-lane divided boulevard, where there's a lot of traffic all the time. it's kind of amazing to see this much wildlife in that context. But these guys are actually very, very close to the traffic. For the most part, they know how to negotiate it, but not always. Here, there's a mockingbird that's all fluffed up inside an underground den there just to stay warm. A fox went in and killed the bird, got it. Here, a screech owl, eastern screech owl. There's a pair of them here that were exploring a box that's intended for screech owls, but has never successfully gathered any screech owls in for any extended time. Here, they were scouting out all of the available habitat, or not habitat, but all the available enclosures for trying to stay warm. So they scouted this one, decided, I think, that it was too big for them to be able to sort of heat with body heat. Went to another enclosed box and also decided that it wasn't really right either. In the neighborhood here, there are some neighbors who have some smaller, more confined boxes, and I suspect that these guys ended up in this one. This is one it's a box that's constructed out of a hollow log, but it's it has a camera built into it and everything, so we can see them. But again, we think the owl may have kind of scoped this out and decided that it was really a little bit too big to be able to heat. So they moved on and went elsewhere, and we don't actually know where they ended up. In just a moment here, we'll shift over to just one last little scene of some foxes out running around. And I think that these two that you're about to see here were being playful and kind of chasing around at each other, going around in circles around kind of a big brush patch there, and then running off into the neighbor's area. Finally here, this is the stump that sits on top of the underground den that the mockingbird was in. We call this the tree stump den for obvious reasons, because the whole root structure and everything underground there provides the structure and stability for the underground den. And it did make kind of a nice, pretty scene for a fox who may have thought that it was Rin Tin Tin, and gave us a nice little pose up on top there to close things out. And we enjoyed the snow event here. We're happy to not have it most of the time because it was a kind of a tough event for the animals, and a tough event, frankly, for a lot of the people in Texas who were not prepared for it, and for the government and everything. It kind of turned into, frankly, a bit of a fiasco. So hope that doesn't come again, but if it does, we'll be out there with the cameras if we have electricity, and try having another go at it. So see you then.